Hi guys, I'm Rachel and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for everyone who has already subscribed, and those of you who haven't, please subscribe and be sure to hit that bell so that you do not miss my uploads here on YouTube. Today I filmed my drugstore foundation, highlight and contour routine for you. So if you want to see how I achieve my highlight and contour routine, stay tuned. Okay, so first things first, your makeup only looks as good as what's underneath, which is your skin. So be sure to be taking care of your skin as best as you can. And I'll actually do a video about that eventually because that's a whole other conversation. Alright, so this is my drugstore foundation routine, highlight and contour, and I choose to do drugstore today because I want to keep it beginner friendly and I want all the products to be affordable. So some of the products I'll be using are not necessarily in the drugstore, but there are drugstore pricing that can be found online. So before I actually go on with foundation, I love to prime my face, and I love using smoothing primers because it just creates this nice base that your foundation can lay over top and give you this flawless finish in the end. One of the face primers that I love very much is the Wet n Wild face primers, and I will insert pictures of this on the screen while I go through because you may not see it properly. And I use my fingers a lot of times, but I will be going in with a foundation brush today to apply that all over my face. And when choosing a primer, you choose a primer that is suited again for your skin type. I have combination skin where I'm oilier this parts of my face and the rest is normal to dry. So if you're someone who's very oily, you may want to reach for a mattifying primer. If you're very dry, you may want to reach for a primer that is hydrating or illuminating or radiance or something like that. Okay, so now that I have my primer on, the next thing that I like to do is actually use use a translucent powder, and I'm using the COTY SPUN loose powder. Like I said, I will insert pictures of this somewhere in the video. And I like using a puff with a little powder on it, and I'm going to place this everywhere where I get extremely oily, which would be my chin, my nose, and my forehead. So I personally don't like going in with mattifying primers so much. I feel like it makes me produce more oils in the long run. So using this technique where I apply some powder in the areas where I do get oily helps to keep the oils back. It doesn't come through as much. Now it's time for foundation, and I am using my Maybelline Superstay 24-hour foundation. I spoke about these in my last top 5 favorite drugstore foundation, and I am mixing these two foundations to get my shade. Now I like using the back of a brush to just mix this in like this to get it to the shade that I want. So there we have it, it's mixed, and I'm just going to use the back of that brush. The brush is clean. Make sure your stuff is clean. Looking at it, I think it's too dark, so I'm actually just going to go in a bit with the lighter shade and mix some more of that into it. Now I'm gonna reach for my damp beauty sponge. This is the Real Techniques beauty, actually this is the body sponge, and I'm gonna start from the outside of my face and bring that product to the center of my face. I'm trying to apply less product to the center of my face because I am gonna go in with concealers after, and we don't want to cake up everything too much. And when applying your foundation, it's best to apply your foundation in layers. We go in with one layer at a time, especially if it's a buildable foundation. You don't just want to just slap foundation all over your face. You want to take your time to layer them so that you don't end up with cake face in the end. So lots of times I go in with my foundation. Honestly, one layer of foundation works pretty well for me because I'm always reaching for foundations that are full coverage and matte. So sometimes one layer is just enough for the coverage that I want. And be sure to get like your ears. Make sure you're blending that part and underneath right here so that you don't have any lines of demarcation when you're done. You want to bring that foundation underneath like this. And also when choosing a foundation color, it's best to match your foundation to your chest, because your neck, my neck is lighter than my face, so my neck don't get as much sun because it's your neck, but your chest and your face usually is the same color, so it's good to match it to your chest when trying to find your foundation shade. So there we have it. This is actually one layer of foundation, and that is totally fine for me. If you maybe have other skin issues that you want to do 2 layers, then that is fine, that is up to you. But now I'm using my ColourPop concealer, and I'm applying this underneath my eyes in a triangle like this, and I'm making sure to bring this down to the corner of my nose because I do get redness right there. And yes, it looks like a lot, but it's gonna be blended in, and I'm that extra bitch. Also on your chin, your nose, and your forehead. I like going in with a brush to blend out the middle of my face where I placed all that concealer, and I'm not swiping, I am pushing and dragging this into my face. Now the reason why we highlight and contour is because after you would have laid your foundation down, your face basically is obliterated. It's just flat, one-dimensional. So adding a lighter concealer to your face is going to just bring everything back and make everything look more natural. And be sure you're just pushing and pulling and not swiping, because you do not want to remove all the work that you just did underneath. Now using my beauty blender, and I'm using the side as no foundation is on, and I'm going to start pressing in the concealer underneath my eyes, and I'm going down, up, and I'm bringing it out to my temples. And it's good to go in that motion so that the concealer can lay properly and that it doesn't settle in your fine lines if you do carry fine lines. And I like using that same concealer to go over my eyes, because this is going to act like a base for my eyeshadows later on. So when you're contouring, as you can see, my nose, I am bringing this very close to my nose in the inner corners right here to create this illusion that my nose is extremely straight. So you want to do that, bring it in as close. You're basically using this as your guideline. Where your eyebrow begins, you're basically using this as a guideline. And there we have it. One side blended, the other side isn't. One side blended, the other side isn't. We're going to do the exact same thing underneath the other eye. So now that the foundation, the concealer is blended in, what we're going to do is I'm going back to the side that I applied my foundation with, and I'm going to run this all over the edges of that concealer so that you do not see any marks of demarcation from my concealer to my foundation. And you should have something like this. Now you see how my face is coming together. It's like I'm adding back that dimension and that light back into my face from after the foundation just had everything looking flat. We're looking for that 3-dimensional look. Foundation, highlight, and contour. So this is what you should have right now, and everything is just lively. I'm using that same COTY SPUN powder, and I'm going to take my damp beauty sponge, yes, the sponge that we used to apply our foundation and our concealer, and I'm going to dip this into my powder, and we are going to press this into everywhere we concealed, because we do not want our concealers to crease. Since concealers are so creamy, they can crease if you do not set them in place. And we are going to press this powder into our skin to make sure everything does not move, especially if you are my skin type and oilier. Doing this is going to make your foundation stay on all freaking day. Now I'm going to press this into my chin, because I do get oily on my chin as well. My my nose, and my forehead. So now I'm going to use that same powder, but I'm going to use a brush now, and I'm just going to set the rest of my face, because I want the rest of my face to be, the powder creates this nice smooth finish, because I am going to be going with other powders over top. It's just going to make everything really nice and apply smoother, and that you don't get any patchiness when you're applying other powders over top. So I'm just using this brush and I'm pressing that powder everywhere else on my face. So now that our face is highlighted, we are now going to contour or bronze the skin to finish that three-dimensional look that we're going for. And to do that, I am using my CoverGirl Queen bronzer in Ebony. And I'm using an e.l.f. complexion brush. I'm using something as fluffy as this because I do not want anything to be too structured. Applying it right underneath my cheekbones, like you can suck your cheek in like this. And apply that product, and that big fluffy brush is just going to disperse everything. And I'm using a very, very light hand for this. I am actually not going in like really harsh, really light, and I'm getting the product onto my face. And all the powders that we applied before is just, and you're trying to bring everything upwards. You're not going to bring it down, because you want it, you don't want anything to look fallen, you want everything to look lifted. So we are bringing the product up to the sides of our temples, and here, this is where the 3 comes in. You see this? So this, do you see the difference of me bringing some color and dimension back into my skin? No bronzer, bronzer. This is great for those of us who has double chins. It create the illusion of a sharper jawline. And we're going to apply some of this underneath our chin. Blend everything nicely. It's all about adding shadows into your face to make it look as natural, like I said, as possible, because naturally that's the way our faces are. Like, we're lighter in certain places and we're darker in certain places, and applying the foundation just takes all that away. So using your highlights and your contours and your bronzers is going to just bring everything back so it actually looks like your face. Now, because I want a more defined contour, I'm going to go back in with that powder that I used to set my concealer, and I'm applying it on this side of the brush. And I'm applying it on this side of the sponge. And I'm going to now carve out this so that everything can look more lifted, and just in case I got messy, this is going to just straighten everything out for me. So I'm going to do this. You can do this, or you can use your guideline from the tops of your ears like this, and bring it down to the corners of your mouth like this. You see this? This is gonna clean up any mess that you made when applying your bronzers. Now I'm gonna leave this there for a while as I continue to finish the rest of my face. Now I'm going to blush my face, and I'm going to use the e.l.f. blush squad. And I like going in with a smaller brush like this. And we are going to dip into the squatter. I should also make mention of the BH Cosmetics blush palette. I used this last. You guys should probably get your hands on these. They are affordable and they are of good quality, very pigmented, and they last pretty well. So I'm applying it right here like this. And I'm bringing it into my contour like this. Again, now we're going to add some dimension to our nose, and I love using the Ruby Kisses mineral powder. This is like $4.99, guys, and I have it in the shade honey brown. I'm using this small fluffy shadow brush, and I'm dipping my brush into this, tapping the excess off. And when you're contouring, you wanna use your brows as a guideline to bring this down. So let me get closer. So I'm taking the contour from my brow and I'm bringing it down like this. Like this. and a little at a time. You don't want to just go in with a whole bunch of powder because it will be very difficult to blend. So a little at a time. Layering is always key when doing your makeup. So we're going in from here again, creating that shadow of a slimmer nose, and there we have it. Now I'm gonna dust that powder off using a powder brush. Now before I go in with my highlights, I like using a setting spray, because what the setting spray does is it gets rid of all this powder that I just used to create a more flawless finish and to not make you look so cakey. It just blends everything and causes everything to mesh together into your skin. So I'm going in with my LA Girl Pro setting spray. Wet n Wild makes a good one as well, also NYX. So I'm gonna spread this all over my face. I'm actually gonna soak my face in this and be right back. So be sure to invest in a setting spray. It's like the final step to your makeup. It really gets rid of any powdery residue on your face, and it also makes your makeup last throughout the day. So now that my face is set and the powder and everything is dissolved into my skin, I'm going to highlight my face. And I'm going to use the Maybelline Master Chrome highlighters. These are bomb AF. If you don't have it, you should get it. Also, ColourPop makes a good one. This is the makeup Shayla and ColourPop collection in Booming. It is really good. Now I'm going in with a brush that looks like this. This is the Morphe M501, and I'm going to dip my brush into both of them. One is more gold, one is more rose gold. They're just amazing. And I'm going to spritz my brush with that same setting spray and apply that to the tops of my cheeks. Using a setting spray to apply highlights and shadows that are shimmery and metallic just makes everything pop and makes it last longer on your skin. Do you see this? So I'm taking this right to the tops of my cheekbones. I'm bringing a little bit of it into my brow bone and onto my temples, and I'm blending this back. And that's a trick you can use to bring the glow back in your face when you're really oily and everything you're using is totally matte. Using a highlight and applying it strategically to certain areas of your face is going to give you that glow that you lost from using all the mattifying primers and mattifying foundations and powders. It's just going to give you that glow that you lost without being oily or greasy. Now I'm grabbing a smaller pencil brush because I want to get a very defined, very strategic with where I'm going to place this, and I'm going to apply this to the center of my nose right here, like this. It's just going to create the illusion of a very straight nose, and to the tips of my nose right here. I'm also going to apply this to my Cupid's bow. So now that I have my highlights everywhere that I want it, I am now going to go in with a dewy setting spray. Yes, dewy, because the size of my face is very normal dry. So what this does is it gives me the extra hydration that I want on the sides of my face, and also makes my highlight pop even more. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to finish the rest of my face off camera and I'll be right back. So that's a completed look, you guys. I finished the rest of my face off camera. Now, makeup is always going to be trial and error. I am still in trial and error phase. I still do things I do not like the way it turned out. I'm forever trying new products. It's always going to be. So I hope you don't find this too tedious to actually want to learn and make that scare you from learning to make your face look beautiful. So I hope you found this informative. Comment down below what it is you want to see me do here next on YouTube. And thank you so much for the support. Be sure to watch the video in its entirety. Thank you. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.